Hi there, and welcome once again to the channel of a disappointed man. And before I begin, I want to say a big thank you to my new subscribers. And last time I did set the goal of reaching 12 subscribers, and already achieved that. So I'm delighted, and I've recalibrated and have a new goal, which I'd like to share with you, which is we're on 13 subscribers, and I would like to reach 14 by the end of 2022, if that's possible. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, then you could click the button now and you could be number 14. It would be a great honor for you, and it would be wonderful for me as well. For everyone concerned would benefit from that click. Now, my plan was always to talk about 2 novels at a time when I did this, so I could fruitfully compare them. But unfortunately, that will not be possible with the book I've just finished. Elizabeth Bowen's novel, The Death of the Heart. Rather grand, maybe perhaps even pretentious title there. A heart, perhaps, but the heart? All hearts? I'm not so sure. And the reason I'm only going to speak about this novel today is because, without doubt, unquestionably, this is one of the worst novels I've read. And I've read a lot of novels of classic works of literature. That's literature with a capital L. None of your airport bestseller nonsense, but the great works. And yes, actually I would much rather read one of those airport page turners than this dreck. And it throws up the interesting question of any that any reviewer may face, of do you review stuff that you don't like, or do you talk about sort of bad stuff? And there is one school of thought, which is you should just pass over it onto the next book. But actually, on this channel and my kind of background, the intention is not really to review them. As time goes on, you'll see that it's more about what you would do if you were studying these, which is to provide a reading, to kind of produce your own reading of a work, rather than just saying, well, this bit of the story. It's not quite that. So I will engage with it just because it will allow me to kind of clarify some of the things that interest me with regards to literature. Now, there are, if we're going to talk deficiencies, this novel lacks any design. There is no discernible design in terms of how this novel is structured. It incorporates disparate material into itself, so it has a diary section of the central character, who I will come on to, and it also has letters that are exchanged between the characters. Now, the reason I haven't begun by talking about the story is there isn't really one. There is no story to speak of. It's rather a melodrama founded upon events which seem of little significance. And a story is not a big concern of mine when I choose books to read. A lot of the writers that I am most interested in and find most satisfying, it's the richness of the language, rather than the story or even the characters. I don't really care too much about character. Not if you want character, you can read a Dickens novel. But when you read another novel that's not character driven, then you can't sit there saying, this is not good because it's not like Dick Swiveller in The Old Curiosity Shop. There are no characters like Dick Swiveller or Skimpole in Bleak House, or Jenny Wren in Our Mutual Friend, and so this book is crap. No, you can't do that. You have to assess literary work on its own terms. So I'm trying to do that with this book. I'm really trying to do that with this book. So its lack of a story or a compelling story is it's not in itself a criticism, but a story might help when you consider, like, the rest of this book. And there's two things that I'm going to kind of focus on here. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done on the other channels. No, relax. I'm not going to do speaking dancing or subject you all to some rude limericks, anything of that nature. It's something more book oriented, and that is I'm going to read you a little bit from the book, because one of the things that's highly deficient in this work is the dialogue. I can't see any reason for this kind of dialogue. We'll talk about it after I read you a bit. But here is a bit where Portia, right? Portia, Shakespearean name there, isn't it? From The Merchant of Venice, isn't it? Yeah. Quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth like the gentle rain from heaven. Isn't that Portia's speech in The Merchant of Venice beautiful? Here Portia is speaking to her love interest, Eddie. Fast Eddie, we might call him. So he's like a lower class character, and so basically he's like vulgar, common, from his name onwards to the very ends of his fingers. He's not a good one. He's not a good one, but he's not even villainous. He's not criminal like like those seedy characters like Peter in Hangover Square that I talked about last time. Who's like laughing about having killed someone with a knife and laughing about drink driving and having like crashed into someone. Oh yes, he was walking across the street while I was 10 sheets to the wind behind the controls of my Triumph Spitfire, and boom, as he flew off the windshield. So what? It's just another life. It's not like that. It's just like he like plays fast and loose, writes a few letters to women, sort of tries to steal the odd kiss here and there, and agonizes over this in like preposterous fashion. So here is Portia talking to Eddie. What does he say? You say nothing would make you hate me, but once make me hate myself, and you'd make me hate you. It's an interesting statement there, isn't it? But you do hate yourself. I wanted to comfort you, but you have, ever since you gave me my hat. Why may we not kiss? It's so desolating. But you and me, she began. She stopped then, pressing her face into his coat under the violets, twisting her wrists in his unsure grip. She said some inaudible things, and at last moaned. I can't bear it when you talk. No, neither can I. Neither can I, Portia. In this novel, I can't bear it when you talk. So the dialogue, there's two kinds of dialogue we could say, couldn't we? This time, like in the sort of 30s and 40s, there are practitioners of dialogue, of this kind of arch, self-conscious talk, playing their trade like Noel Coward, a genius of the stage and of producing screenplays. And the talk in a Noel Coward play is far removed from everyday life, but that's the point. It's refined, it's beautiful, it's witty, has its wonderful place that it transports you to of how life might be if everyone was as witty as Noel Coward, just like an Oscar Wilde play. And then you'll have writers like Evelyn Waugh, whose telephone conversations are kind of miraculous creations. And then, like last time, I had James Hanley and Hangover Square, where basically the dialogue is trying to come somewhere close to what people would say in real life. So there's these kinds of two types, we could say. The more self-conscious kind, and then these more like trying to be sort of faithful to what you'd find in reality. This is neither, is it? This is neither. This is far from what people would say in real life, but it's also not witty. It's just not credible. It just leads nowhere, right? So the dialogue is one thing, but then the other part is the free indirect discourse, which absolutely dominates this novel to such an extent that it's just far too much Elizabeth Bowen in this novel. Just constantly there, generalizing, philosophizing, universalizing on the flimsiest of pretexts. So there's one here, I'll find it for you and give you a taste. It's about a picture. and it's here. It's like sort of talking about this sketch. And then from this sketch, it just becomes every sketch. That's the leap in this book. It's like a door becomes every door, and a window becomes every window. So here, what help she did not find in the picture she found in its oak frame and the mantelpiece underneath. After inside upheavals, it is important to fix on imperturbable things. Things, their imperturbableness, their air that nothing has happened renews our guarantee. Pictures would not be hung plumb over the centres of fireplaces or wallpapers, pasted on with such precision that their seams made no break in the pattern, if life were really not possible to adjudicate for. These things are what we mean when we speak of civilization. They remind us how exceedingly seldom the unseemly or unforeseeable rears its head. In this sense, the destruction of buildings and furniture is more palpably dreadful to the spirit than the destruction of human life. Appalling as the talk with Daphne had been, it had not been so finally fatal when you looked back at it as an earthquake or a dropped bomb. That is what you've got to look forward to for 207 pages, or 217 pages, sorry, of this Penguin Classic. There are other ones like this too. It's just the free indirect discourse. Even the ending, when you think this book cannot get worse, it gets worse. There's a sub Mrs. Dalloway interior monologue in a cab ride to retrieve the errant Portia. That concludes this work. And it is toe-curlingly bad. Toe-curlingly bad. So your final of this book is, oh my God, Jason. You thought you were the disappointed man before you read this book, before you cracked its spine. But now, as you close it forever and return it to your shelf, you feel so awful. You feel wretched that you have invested your precious time in this book. Thank God it is done. Okay, so that is my my comment here on Elizabeth Bowen's The Death of the Heart. So it's not going to be so sort of not even a pretense of like a kind of scholarly appraisal, because it doesn't really merit that. And actually, as to kind of cleanse the palate after reading this book, I'm going to close with a few sentences from this Richard Allen's Skinhead Trilogy, featuring the estimable Jack. And here it is. Joe lashed out in... Oh, Joe, not Jack. How could I have been so foolish? Joe, completely undercutting the tension there. Joe lashed out instinctively. I could just call him Jack, couldn't I? And you would be none the wiser. His tool caught the angel across the face, slicing through to the bone. As blood spurted, Joe kicked, finding the groin with a devastating boot. The angel slumped to the floor, battered into unconsciousness by angry skinheads. Okay, I feel, I'm ready to go on with my literary journey. Thank you, Richard Allen, for that. And until the next time, keep it real, keep it foolish, and I will see you anon. Nanu nanu.